And so here with us today we have Dwayne Ratliff, who is the Chief Operating Officer of CASIS. Welcome, Dwayne. Thank you for coming
thank you
today.
for having me.
You came all the way from Florida.
That's correct.
Because you're here not only to talk with us today, but also to participate in a panel that'll be later this afternoon that we'll be playing on Destination Station. So we're going to go into some of that and talk about it. But first, can you talk to me a little about what all does CASIS entail? I know it's responsible for the management of the U.S. National Lab and Science aboard this space station, but what all does that entail exactly?
Right. So with the advent of the National Laboratory designation, NASA stood up CASIS, if you will, as an independent non-government entity to manage research that can be conducted on the International Space Station by other users. So outside of the NASA exploration mission, we support other government agencies as well as academic institutions and commercial companies that have an interest in using the ISS as a laboratory environment.
Okay. And so this started, what, just under 3 years now?
Yeah, a little less than 3 years ago, August of 2011, we stood up operations.
Okay. And so can you give me just a brief overview from the time that we stood up as an organization and up until now?
Yeah, so we've been really, really busy. Just last year alone, we created 28 manifested payload project opportunities. We spent a little over $5 million last year in sort of incentivizing and seeding those research opportunities in order to get to the ISS. And I think since we began operations a little under 3 years ago, we've done about $15 million in research and have supported a little over 40 projects.
Wow. So recently on the latest SpaceX Dragon, there were a series of protein crystal growth experiments that have been flying. Can you explain to me why we're doing that and why that's so important, and what do we hope to learn from that?
Yeah, so one of the first things CASIS did was to really understand what were the most operative and innovative opportunities that the ISS had with respect to being a laboratory that ground-based Earth application type of research could take advantage of. Protein crystal growth is really one of those standout opportunities where we know that we have advanced protein crystallization and microgravity. What CASIS is doing, though, is we're taking advantage of that known opportunity and focusing on very specific membrane-bound proteins that have a lot of interest in healthcare applications, primarily cures for major diseases, if you will. But we know that they can't crystallize on the ground. So we're actually targeting those, putting them on the station, and seeing what type of success we'll have.
So the space station provides a unique capability to allow us to grow those protein crystals that we cannot do otherwise here on Earth. So this is...
That's right. Yeah, that's the physics of microgravity, and we're really taking advantage of it.
Very good. All right, great. Well, so part of the CASIS mission is to connect with researchers and non-traditional researchers in the field. Can you explain to me how you guys are going about doing that?
Yeah, so we employ a couple of traditional opportunities, I guess, if you will. One is we issue grants, calls for research, very similar to what NASA or other research funding agencies would do. But because we're trying to attract a user group that really may not be familiar with International Space Station and the opportunities it provides, we do a lot of traditional business development as well. So we actually go out into the marketplace, do a lot of outreach and education, inform them of the opportunities that companies may be able to take advantage of, and then try to put together business development deals.
Okay. And I know, so NASA recently issued out a request for information, also known as an RFI. Can you tell me a little about that and how, combined with CASIS, that's going to help us really get more proposals and more people helping us and working on utilizing the space station? Right.
So I look at the International Space Station as well as CASIS, as well as a national laboratory model, as being a very pioneering early on effort. NASA has done a tremendous job of understanding how we can operate in low Earth orbit. The International Space Station is clearly one of those major feats that demonstrates that we have the capability to, on a regular basis, go to space in low Earth orbit and operate. With this RFI, NASA is looking at further enticing commercial operation of low Earth orbit, primarily to allow them to continue to move on with their exploration mission. From the CASIS perspective, this is highly advantageous for us because it actually helps us expand our mission and further attract those commercial users for the future.
Okay. Can you briefly explain to me now on the CASIS side the the process for the unsolicited. I know you guys put out the announcements.
Right.
You mentioned that. So what exactly is that process like?
So again, we when we issue grants, we're kind of doing that in sort of a proactive form, and there's obviously some constraints to what it is that we're actually looking for in those opportunities. Clearly, we don't understand all the capabilities that ISS provides, and clearly we don't have enough time to really exploit those. So with our unsolicited proposal process, what we do is invite investigators, researchers, potential users to come to us with the ideas that they may have in mind. We work with them to help understand the science objectives, what the benefit to Earth will be, to the humans here on the ground, and then develop, in essence, what that same proposal would be through a grant process so that we can evaluate it fairly and hopefully sponsor it for flight.
Okay, great. Good news. And so today, as we mentioned earlier, you are going to be here to participate in the Destination Station, the ISS Science Forum. You're going to be on a panel, and again, we're going to be airing that here on NASA television at 2:30 Central Time. I'll be in the room there. I'll be asking Twitter questions. So if the public has any questions, please do submit those to us via Twitter. Use the hashtag AskNASA. And so I'll be there. But real quickly, can you tell me what is a takeaway? Are you hoping that people will take away from this panel today?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, general education to the general public, if you will, about the ISS and particularly its capabilities as a state-of-the-art research facility and laboratory is something that we really want to promote and conduct significant outreach on. Destination Station is one of those outreach projects, activities, and programs that we work very closely with NASA on to actually achieve that. So it's getting the word out, if you will, and hopefully exciting and enticing the next generation users.
So more engagement. Great. Good deal. Thank you again for coming out, and I'll see you later on this afternoon.
Great. Looking forward
Thanks so
to
much.
it. Thanks.